I always believed that I could birdie every hole. Growing up in Sweden, we had something called Vision 54, which was just kind of a mental vision how to play really good golf. We always talked about, what it would feel like to hit every green, what it would feel like to make every putt. So the question is, why can't you do it in one round? I always believed that it was possible.
I woke up that morning and I could feel something was going to happen. And I think you only experience those once or twice in your lifetime.
It was a Friday morning in Phoenix. It was called the Standard Register Paying. I'd played Moon Valley many times. I just lived around the corner. I was very familiar with the course. Playing with my sister and Meg Mallon. It's a good pairing. They're both pretty fast players and they both know their way around at the course. So I was very comfortable.
I happened to be defending champion of the tournament and she was #1 in the world. And that's the reason back then they used to do it that way. That's why we were paired together.
I started on the back 9. Birdie the first one, it was a par 5 and a dogleg. It was one of those holes where you can easily make a birdie if the whole location was accessible, and it was. And then it's a par 3, and par 3s are always a little tougher to make birdie, but I started with 2 birdies there and obviously 3 and 4. My scorecard, I circled the birdie, so I got reminded every time I made a birdie. So I turned to my caddy and I said, how many birdies in a row have you seen? And I remember him saying, I've seen 4 before. And I said, well, I know I can do 6 because I've done 6 before. So I just stood on the 50 and hit a good shot.
Not a lot of people know, my caddy came up to me on the 14th green and he wrote 59 question mark. The 14th we started on 10. So this was just 5 holes into it. So it was pretty neat that he felt also something was going to happen that day.
And then birdie number 6, and then birdie number 7, and birdie number 8.
Meg and I, we were trying not to talk too much about what was actually going on. Okay, you're actually 8 under after 8 holes. Do you know that? Is that your record? Have you ever done 8 birdies in a row before? And trying to think about normal things that you do on the golf course. What are you eating tonight? Or, what are you doing this next week? Are you playing next week? And things like that.
That's as impressive a 9 holes as you'll ever see in the game of golf.
Then I started to think a little bit. I felt so uncomfortable because you start thinking and you start wondering, I don't want to jeopardize this. I don't want to ruin what I've done. What's happening here? I'm on track to birdie every hole. That's when I realized that this is pretty special. But I got to the 9th tee and that's when I turned to my caddy and said, you know what? I'm so nervous, I'm so out of my comfort zone, I just need to make par, and he said, okay.
Folks, what a 9 holes of golf. She'll go over to the first tee and look at the circles on that scorecard.
Looking back, I wish maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I did par number 9, and then I walked to the 10th hole, which is the first at Moon Valley. And I looked at him again and said, I'm ready for more birdies.
You kind of almost felt like you were in the way because you knew something magical was happening and something record-breaking and history in the making. But we tried to be part of it as well.
When we made the turn, the crowd was huge, and I could even see players, walking away from maybe practice rounds or that came in early, wanted to come out, and I saw more and more media, and so it became this. It was a lot more than just a second round in a golf tournament, and I think that they probably felt a little bit, wow, what's happening here too.
That was very cool to see, to be right there and be part of it, not just be part of the family of somebody making it, but actually being there. And hopefully Meg and I helped her a little bit to feel at least comfortable or at least normal.
In the back of my mind, I try to focus. I try to just chat with my caddy like it was just a normal Friday, and playing with my sister and Meg Mallon. Early in the round we were talking a little bit more. And then, I think once we made the turn, it was just, okay, let's just see what happens. And it almost seemed like, let her focus on her things. So I just kind of walked there with my caddy talking and pretend that, that this was nothing special.
Goodness sakes alive, folks. This is absolutely fascinating what's going on with Annika Sorenstam right now. She has now birdied 10 of 11 holes.
I think I missed 1 fairway on the back 9 and hit 18 greens, so it's just really trying to stay calm and being comfortable out there.
So she's on record-breaking territory there.
I had a putt for 58, and it just kind of slipped by on the left side, and then I stood there over, the last putt, And so many thoughts went through my head. Biggest thought was, what a great round, don't feel the pressure, just, do what you've done a million times, rolling a 3 or 4 footer. But then I thought, if this goes in, this is history.
This putt for par in a round of 13 under 59. The first woman to ever be in the 50s on the LPGA Tour.
I really didn't know how to celebrate. Some things we practice on and some things we don't. And I just stood there and I was just jumping. Didn't really know what to think or do, and just literally just leaped in Terry McNamara, my caddy's arms, and just couldn't believe it.
Well, I've seen that clip when Annika makes the last putt and runs over and jumps over to Terry. You can actually see me in the background. And I was trying not to be too excited, and I looked almost angry, but I was trying not to destroy her moment. But I really wanted to run up and hug her first, before her caddy actually, but I couldn't. I wanted them to have the moment.
Spectacular, perfect round of golf.
Shooting 59 ranks pretty high. To be able to set history, be the first one to break 60 when I've had this vision for so long, and people have looked at me and said, no, you're crazy, but just to be able to prove that, and also to prove myself, that's really what I worked so hard for.
She cooked dinner at my house that day. Yep, fish soup, and it was really good. So that's actually what I asked her, what are you making tonight? So that's the conversation I had with her on the round. So it was really good. I don't remember what was in it, but who cared? Of course, I grew up with her, so I knew she could play beautiful golf, and it was just magical.
Looking back at my career, people say, what do you remember? And that's certainly one of them.